night listener. Tonight, we enter the shadows. Dim streetlights flicker above rain-slick sidewalks, their glow distorted by fogged glass and dirty puddles. Somewhere down the block, a door creaks open. Footsteps echo. Yours, maybe. Or maybe it's someone else tracing your every step. A broken neon sign buzzes faintly from a diner window, its dying letters spelling out something between open and no one comes here. If this story found you, maybe it's because you've been followed too. So, before we vanish into this mystery, like the video and subscribe only if you can handle the truth buried beneath the lies. Let me know in the comments, where are you listening from? And are you drawn to the truth, the thrill, or the justice? Now lock your doors, take a deep breath, and follow me into the dark. You're sitting in the last row of the courtroom, half shadowed by the gallery's crumbling plaster column. Everyone's looking forward, eyes fixed on her. Ryan and Lake, 27, pale, calm, wearing the same navy dress every day of trial. It's deliberate. That dress, no jewelry, no makeup. She wants them to see her as ordinary. And maybe that's what scares you most, because you remember the night it all began. You remember the man she supposedly killed, Callum Price. Wealthy, connected, missing. No body, no blood. Just a shoe in a muddy field and the media circling like vultures. Now, she stands in front of the judge like someone already erased. The verdict comes fast. Guilty. The word drops like a knife. Not because of its weight, but because of its precision. Rhiannon doesn't cry. She just tilts her head, slightly, like she's listening to something no one else can hear. And then she turns, not to her lawyer, not to the press, to you. Her eyes lock with yours. You've never met her. You're not part of this case, but you're here. And her look is unmistakable, like she knows you'll follow the trail she's just lit. The courtroom empties. The whispers fade. You remain seated, still processing what just happened. Her face burns behind your eyes. Not innocent. Not guilty. Something else. You pull out your notepad. One page is already torn out. You don't remember doing that. You flip to the back. There, scrawled in unfamiliar handwriting, the body never stopped breathing. It's not your writing, but you know what it means, and you don't know how to explain it. You step outside. Rain whispers across your shoulders. The courthouse stands like a mausoleum, cold and gray and judgmental. You light a cigarette you don't remember buying, and just before the match dies, your phone vibrates. Unknown number. One message. Don't believe the grave. She didn't bury him. Below it, an address. No name. No sender. But the street is just 10 minutes from where you are, and it feels like a dare. You should turn away. You should leave it be. But the words echo louder than your logic. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You slip the phone into your coat pocket. The address burns a hole in your thoughts. And without meaning to, you start walking. Because you need to know. Why did she look at you like you were already part of this? The street glows dimly in the rain, like it's been holding its breath for years. You stop outside the address. From the message, 1-2 Ashmere Lane. No lights, no motion, just a rusted mailbox hanging sideways and a sagging porch that groans beneath your first step. The boards feel soft, swollen with old storms and older secrets. You knock. Of course, no one answers. You try the knob. It turns with a tired resistance. like the house is thinking twice before letting you in. Inside, the air is damp and stale. Smells like mildew, wood rot, and something else, something faintly metallic. You pause, listen. Somewhere deeper inside, a phone is ringing. You follow the sound down a narrow hallway, floorboards creaking in a syncopated rhythm behind your steps as if someone is walking in time with you. Just one beat behind. At the end of the hall is a rotary phone, yellowed plastic, covered in dust, but it's ringing, not vibrating, not chirping. An honest-to-God ring. You pick it up before you can speak. A voice cuts through the static, soft, deliberate, female. You were there today. I saw you. You felt it too, didn't you? You don't speak. You can't. I didn't kill him, she continues. The voice is unmistakable. Rhiannon, calling from prison. But you know that. You just don't know why yet. The body is speaking now. You just have to listen. Click. Dial tone. You hang up slowly. The phone is dead now. Not just disconnected, useless. The line's been cut. You follow it with your eyes. Frayed cord dangling like a noose behind the molding. That call shouldn't have happened. Not on that line. Not from her. You don't even remember giving your number to anyone. And yet, here you are, listening to a voice that doesn't lie, but doesn't tell the whole truth either. You turn around. Something's changed in the house. There's a light on now, flickering softly from the kitchen. You didn't turn it on. You approach the doorway slowly. Inside, the kitchen is bare, except for one thing. A glass of water sitting in the center of the table, half full or half empty, depending on what you're willing to believe. And beside it, a matchbook, white with red letters, stamped across the cover, Vesper Motel, room 9. It means nothing to you, but something about the way it sits there, waiting, makes your pulse hitch. You pocket it, because this isn't over. Not yet. You step back into the hall. The shadows feel longer now. The wallpaper is peeling in strips, revealing names scratched into the dry wall beneath. Some are familiar. Callum, Rhiannon, and one more. Yours. You run your hand over it. Fresh. The dust hasn't even settled in the grooves yet. That's when it hits you. Someone knew you were coming. You rush back outside. The rain's stopped. The night feels frozen. You glance at your phone. No new messages. But when you check your photos, there's one you didn't take. Shot from inside the house, from the kitchen, facing the doorway you stood in. You're there, backlit, shadowed, but unmistakably you. In the corner of the photo, scribbled like a child's scroll. She's telling the truth. You're just not ready to hear it. You don't remember being photographed, but that's the pattern now, isn't it? Your memory, like the case, is full of holes, deliberate ones. Back at your apartment, you empty your pockets, the matchbook, your phone, a set of keys you don't recognize. Where did those come from? Brass, worn, 2 notches, no tag, but you feel it again, like something in your body already knows the lock they belong to. You sit on the edge of your bed, heart pounding like you've just run a mile, and you whisper it out loud for the first time. What if she's telling the truth? You think about the look she gave you in court, the ringing phone, the matchbook, the unasked for photo, and something colder curls inside you, a thought you can't shake. What if you're not here to prove her innocence? What if you're here to remember something you helped forget? You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The Vesper Motel crouches at the edge of town, like it's been trying to disappear for years. You pull up just after midnight. The neon sign flickers like it's wincing, one letter shorting out in irregular pulses. S gone, P twitching, V ever, fitting. You step inside the lobby. It smells of bleach, cigarette ash, and stale cologne. A cracked vending machine hums in the corner like it knows secrets you don't. No clerk, no security camera, just a laminated bell and a ledger older than your first bad memory. You flip it open. Room 9. Last guest signed in 3 days ago. Initials only C.P. You hesitate in front of the door to room 9. The matchbook feels warm in your pocket. Not from heat, from memory. You slide the key into the lock. It resists, then turns. The room is exactly what you'd expect and not at all. Bed unmade, lamp on its side, mini fridge humming louder than necessary. But what draws your eye is the floor. A stain, dark, uneven, still damp at the edges. Blood. You kneel, touch it. Not sticky, not dry, fresh. Impossible. You straighten up, and that's when you see it. A glove on the nightstand, white leather, small, delicate, too clean for this room. You pick it up. Inside the palm is writing in faded ink, 4 words. Don't trust the mirror. And beside it, tucked half under the lamp, a Polaroid. The kind that develops in seconds and dies in years. You turn it over. A man's face, mid-30s, nervous smile. You've seen that face before. Not in person, but in the prosecution's slideshow. Callum Price, the victim, the one they said Rhiannon killed. Only in this photo, he's alive, and the timestamp. It's from yesterday. You stagger back. The room shifts. Not literally, but emotionally. It feels staged, or maybe preserved, as if someone wanted you to find exactly this. Your phone buzzes. Again. Blocked number. A message. She buried the name, not the body. No context, no punctuation, just the words, like a riddle with burnt teeth. You leave the room quickly, glove in pocket. Outside, the air bites colder than before. Your car windshield is fogged, but not from temperature. Someone's written on the glass from the inside. You didn't leave it unlocked. You didn't. You wipe the condensation away. 4 words again, the same ones from the glove. Don't trust the mirror. You sit behind the wheel, shaken. Start the engine. The radio clicks on with a burst of static, and through it, faintly so faint, you think it's your imagination, you hear her voice again. Rhiannon, find the original, before they rewrite him again. Then the static flattens. Dead air. You drive. No music. No distraction. Just thoughts, turning over the facts like old coins in your palm. The bloodstain. The Polaroid. The message on your windshield. The name they buried. What if that's the key? You pull over at a gas station. Buy a burner phone. Use it to access the court archives secure portal. You're not supposed to, but that stopped mattering 2 lives ago. You search Callum Price's death certificate. It exists, dated, signed, filed, but there's no coroner's name, no autopsy summary, only one note under cause of death presumed, based on circumstantial narrative, not evidence, narrative. Someone wrote the ending before the story had a middle. You sit in your car. Rain starts again, this time soft, apologetic. You look into the rear-view mirror. Nothing behind you, nothing ahead, just your own reflection. You should look away. You don't. And for a second, only a second, you see another face behind yours. It's him, Callum, mouth open like he's screaming, but there's no sound. And then he's gone. You breathe hard, reach for the glove again, trace the words inside. Don't trust the mirror, because maybe it doesn't just reflect light. Maybe it reflects lies. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You don't remember driving home, but now you're there. Keys in hand, door unlocked, hallway quiet. It's that strange kind of silence that only happens when something's waiting for you. Not a noise, not a movement, just a presence. You step in slowly, listening for creaks that shouldn't be there, and then you see it. A plain manila envelope slid halfway under your door. No stamp, no name, just one word, scrawled in permanent marker across the front. See, you tear it open with careful hands. Inside one photograph, a printed receipt, and a single pressed flower. The photo nearly stops your heart. It's a group picture, taken at night in what looks like someone's backyard, fairy lights strung across trees, empty wine glasses on the table. You're in it, standing just off center, smiling, and so is Rihanna. She's right beside you, arm draped loosely over your shoulder, like you've known each other for years. But that's impossible. You've never met her. You would have remembered this, wouldn't you? Your thumb trembles against the photo's corner. There's a timestamp on the bottom edge, September 19th, 2020. 2 weeks after the alleged murder. You turn to the receipt next. Gas station, 4:27 a.m. Paid in cash. Signed at the bottom, your name. But the kicker, it's dated the same night as the photo. You never drive at that hour. You have no memory of that station, that night, that moment. You feel the ground shift again, not beneath your feet, but inside your memory, like you've just bumped against the edge of something long buried. You pick up the flower last, pressed, delicate, a moonflower. They only bloom at night. They also only grow in very specific climates. You know this because Callum's house had a small moonflower trellis. You remember it from the crime scene photos. Dried, dead, but this one is fresh, recently pressed, as if someone was preserving something sacred, or staging something lost. You pace the apartment now, walls closing in. You lay the photo on your kitchen table, next to the glove from room 9. And that's when it hits you. She's wearing the glove in the photo. White leather, same stitching, same elegant shape. Which means this photo is not just a memory, it's evidence. You scan the people in the background. Blurry, faces half turned, but one catches your eye. A tall man, slouched, holding a drink. You can't make out his features, but something about the posture, it's familiar. You dig through your files, Callum's police photos. In one, he's standing at a gala fundraiser, slouched, same lean, same awkward drink hand, same man. This photo shows him alive long after the state declared him dead. They never recovered a body, but maybe that's because there was never one to recover. You sit back down, breath sharp in your lungs. Your phone buzzes again. Unknown number. A new message. You've seen the first thread. Now, follow it to the tapestry. Go to the lake. Bring the photo. The lake. There's only one it could mean. Valamur Lake. It's where they claimed Rhiannon dumped the body. Where divers found nothing. Where a press conference was held to announce the presumed death. It was always the weakest link in the state's narrative. And now it's calling you like a wound begging to be reopened. Before you leave, you take one last look at the photo. You examine the margins carefully, and you find it barely visible in the grain of the print. A smudge in the corner. Ink, maybe, or graphite. But under angled light, it's a word, handwritten in microscopic letters. Remember? That word again. You saw it in your notes, heard it in the phone call. It haunts this story like a whisper you were never supposed to hear. You put everything in the folder: glove, photo, flower, receipt, and as you lock your apartment door, something catches your eye in the hallway mirror. Your reflection, but not exactly. You're smiling, not the way you are now, a different smile, like you know something, like the version of you in the mirror is one step ahead. You step closer, and in the corner of the mirror, something appears, a faint imprint, a woman's fingerprint, small, pressed hard in a perfect oval, like she wanted it to be found, like she wanted you to find it. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Valimore Lake is darker than you remember. You've only been here once before, years ago, during a school field trip. Back then, the water shimmered, kids threw stones, and the dock felt endless. Now it looks like it was carved from someone's nightmare and left to rot. The fog clings to the surface like guilt. You park at the trail's edge, just where the asphalt disappears into damp gravel. No cars, no sound. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. The message was clear. Bring the photo. So you do. It's tucked in your coat pocket, warming with your body heat like something alive. You walk the winding path toward the lake. The forest on either side is dense, too quiet. Each branch seems to lean toward you, as if listening. There's something ritualistic about it, like a place where things are buried, not to be forgotten, but to be summoned. At the bottom of the trail, the lake opens like a mouth, still, black, expecting you. And at the very edge of the dock, someone is waiting. You stop short. A woman, not Rhiannon, older, gray coat, no umbrella despite the drizzle. Her back is to you, and even from here, you know she's holding the photo, your photo. You approach slowly. She doesn't flinch when you stop beside her, doesn't look at you, just says, "The lake never took him," but everyone needed to believe it did. You look down. Her hand trembles as she passes the photo back. Yours is missing. This one's different. Same scene, same backyard, same timestamp. But this time, you're not in it. Rhiannon is. Callum is. The party is happening. But there's an empty space where you once stood, as if someone erased you, or as if you were never really there. You glance at her. What is this? She finally turns. Eyes gray, soft lines lined, familiar. You've seen her in news articles. She was Callum's therapist before his disappearance. Dr. Eloise Marine, declared legally dead after a boating accident last year. Except now, she's very much alive. She holds your gaze and says, "The version you remember isn't the one that happened." But you knew that, didn't you? You've always known. She pulled something from her coat pocket, a cassette tape, labeled in red pen S121, prize, final. She places it in your hand like a confession. You were part of his reconstruction, back when they were experimenting with memory containment. That trial wasn't just about Rhiannon. It was about erasing inconvenient truths. But someone couldn't forget. She wrote it down, in pieces. That's why they locked her up. Your voice is barely a whisper. Are you saying Rhiannon didn't kill him because he's not dead? She smiles faintly. Not yes, not no. Just something sadder, more haunted. Bodies don't lie, but memories do. And just like that, she turns and walks into the mist. You don't follow. You couldn't if you tried. You sit on the dock for a long time after, tape in hand, The photo now altered your absence as loud as any scream, and as the fog thickens, the lake stares back, unmoving, reflecting nothing. You fish the glove from your pocket. The words inside feel colder now. Don't trust the mirror. You take out your phone and flip to selfie mode, just to check. And for a second, you see yourself. But then it blinks, only for a frame. But it's not you. It's Callum, bruised, bloody, mouth moving, no sound. You fumble the phone, nearly drop it in the water. When you look again, it's gone. Just your own face staring back, and that look in your eye. It isn't yours, it's his. You don't sleep that night. You don't even try. You sit at your desk with the cassette tape in front of you. It doesn't fit any player you own. But your neighbor has a vintage deck. You remember seeing it once through their window. You could ask to borrow it, but something tells you it's safer to listen alone. And the longer you wait, the more one thought takes root. What if the tape doesn't tell you what happened to Callum? What if it tells you who you are? You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You find the cassette player buried beneath a pile of books in your neighbor's garage sale bin. It's dusty, dented, and still smells like someone else's basement. You slip the man a crumpled 20. Don't wait for change, and head back to your apartment with the machine cradled like a relic. The city buzzes around you, cars, conversations, routine, but your world has gone hushed, narrowed, focused on one thing, the tape. It clicks into the slot with a reluctant thunk. You press play, a burst of static, then a voice, male, unsteady, session 121, subject, Callum Price, final transcript, file encrypted under Marin protocol. Your breath catches. It's his voice, Callum, alive. Alive when this was recorded, but already unraveling. They said I'd forget, you know, that the containment procedure would smooth it all over, seal the trauma, reconstruct the guilt. But I remember the lake. You lean in. The lake. She didn't push me. I jumped. I had to. It was the only way to disappear clean. I thought if I vanished, they'd stop using her. You pause the tape. Your hand trembles. Using her as in Rhiannon, you rewind 10 seconds. Hit play again. They put too much inside her. Guilt that wasn't hers. Memories that didn't belong. That's what they do. Right? Rewrite the past until someone else carries the consequences. But she started remembering in dreams. Then, when she was awake, that's when I knew I had to go. You stare at the player. Your own reflection warps in its silver casing. This isn't just a cover-up. It's a transfer. Memory reprogramming. You've heard whispers about it, private tech, sold off military patents, used in deep therapy for trauma victims. But this is something else. You press play again. If you're hearing this, I'm probably dead, or worse, rewritten. But she's innocent. She's the only one who was. The tape ends. No music, no closure. Just the faint click of the reel stopping. You sit in the quiet for several minutes before it hits you. You've heard this kind of voice before. Not Callum's voice itself, but this state, disorientation, fragmented identity. You remember now a case from 3 years ago. A man pulled from a motel room, ranting about false memories and planted guilt. Everyone wrote him off as schizophrenic. But now you dig out the archived file from your cabinet. It's there. Photos, medical notes, surveillance logs. One image stops you cold. It's the motel room wall, marked with soot and peeling paint. Written across the top in black marker S121. I remember the lake. You pull the photo from the manila folder and overlay it against your recent memory. It's room 9, the Vesper Motel. Same layout, same wall crack near the lamp, same stain on the floor. Whoever he was, he'd been there too. He'd lived the memory. And now you're beginning to wonder, was it even his? Or did it belong to Callum? A sudden knock at your door shatters the silence. You freeze. It's rhythmic, 3 short knocks, then 2 slower. It's not random. It's deliberate, coded. You don't speak. Don't move. The knocking stops. A slip of paper slides under the door. You wait. Count to 30. Then pick it up. It's not a message. It's a drawing. Childlike. Pencil. Jagged lines. A body floating in water. Above it, a pair of eyes. Below it, the words. Scribbled in rushed, uneven letters. He's not the only one. You search the hallway. No one there. But a chill crawls along your spine. You examine the drawing under better light. It's crude, but something about it feels familiar. Then you realize the handwriting. It matches the margins of the altered photograph from section 4, the one that said, "Remember." Same graphite, same slope. Whoever sent that photo, whoever has been watching, they are still watching. And they don't just know what happened to Callum, they know what happened to you. Because here's the part you haven't told anyone. Your own memory has gaps, dates you can't account for, places you supposedly visited, names that stir a sick feeling in your gut, but don't belong to anyone you remember. You chalked it up to burnout, insomnia, the slow crawl of time, and too many unsolved cases. But what if? What if you're not investigating a false conviction? What if you're tracing a loop? A story that resets every time someone gets too close to the truth. And this time it's your turn to forget. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You don't sleep. Sleep feels like surrender now. Instead, you pin the drawings, photos, and printouts to your wall, stringing them together with thin red thread, like a murder board in a cop drama you no longer believe in. You trace the connections over and over. Callum, Rhiannon, the erased photo, the motel, the therapist, the session tape, and now you, at the center of it all. Not an investigator, not an outsider, a thread, maybe even a seed. You stare at your reflection in the black window and whisper aloud, almost hoping someone is listening. What did they put in me? The glove is still on your desk. You turn it over again. You've read the message a dozen times. Don't trust the mirror. But maybe the mirror isn't glass. Maybe the mirror is you. And the glove, it's too pristine. It doesn't belong in the grime of room 9. It belongs in a memory, a carefully placed symbol, something meant to trigger. You check the inner lining again, fingertips pressed along the seams, and feel something stiff, square, hidden between layers. You cut gently, carefully. Inside, a micro SD card. No label, no markings, just waiting. You plug it into your laptop with a cheap adapter. One file, a short video clip, less than a minute. It begins with the sound of water dripping slow, metronomic. Then a camera shake, then a face, Rhiannon, eyes wide, pale, whispering. They're recording through me now. They used his memory as a foundation, Callum's, but it didn't stay clean. It fractured. I wake up knowing things I never lived. Someone out there. You were part of it. You were supposed to be erased, but you weren't. And now the body's talking. The video ends in a glitch, white noise, and static fingers. You sit back, breath hollow. What did she mean? Used his memory. You dig back through your notes, find the Marin Protocol reference from the tape, a defense project, tested at Valemur Institute in 2019, meant to treat PTSD by overwriting traumatic memory sequences with stable templates. Callum Price was a volunteer. Rhiannon Lake was his emotional anchor. That's what the files said. But files lie, and memories, they lie prettier. You go back to the photo, the one where you were standing beside her, then erased. There's one more person in that photo, blurry in the corner. A child, curly hair, holding a toy camera. Zoom in. The camera is pointed at you, at the spot where you stood, and in the reflection of the lens, you're still there, faint, but undeniable, wearing the same coat you're wearing now. The one you bought 6 months after the photo was supposedly taken. So either someone forged this or someone looped it, and suddenly you're not sure this is an investigation at all. It's a reconstruction, one where you're both witness and subject. Your phone vibrates again. A voicemail, no missed call. You play it. It's only 4 words, whispered in your own voice, back to the mirror. You stagger back from the desk. That wasn't you. Not recently, but it's your voice, recorded and planted, like a breadcrumb from someone who knows the shape of your mind better than you do. You stand, cross the room, face the hallway mirror again. You expect something, anything, but it's just you, looking back, still you. You lean closer, then closer still, and that's when you see it, a message, faint and smeared, written behind the glass, barely visible beneath the silvering. You fetch a flashlight, angle the beam just right. One word, all, uppercase, origin. You stagger back. Origin of what? The project, the lie you check your own files, employment history, case assignments, birth records, and something you've never thought to question until now. There's a 4-month gap in your personnel file. Blank. On leave? You don't remember any leave. There's a note, handwritten by someone you don't know. Initials, M. Dr. Eloise Marin. It reads, subject remains stable. Integration appears complete. Memory shell holding. No side channel leak. You drop the page. Suddenly, your name feels like someone else's. You sit. Try to steady your breathing, but it's like balancing on a wire that wasn't meant to hold your weight. Your memories, your identity aren't untangling. They're looping, starting to feel rehearsed, like they were written for you. And now, that word behind the mirror haunts you. Origin, the place it began, or the place you began. And maybe, just maybe, you're not supposed to remember that. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The word origin doesn't fade. If anything, it sharpens the longer you stare at it, etched behind the mirror like a scar no one thought you'd uncover. Not a message from someone else, no. A message from before, from you, or at least the version of you that still remembered what this all was. And now it's time to go back, where it started, where the mirrors were made, where the stories were written into you like code. You pull the address from a redacted case file buried in your off-books archive, Valemur Institute for Neural Restructuring, decommissioned, abandoned, erased from public record 5 years ago. But you've seen the blueprints. It was never just a clinic. It was a testing ground for memory transfer, emotional integration, and suppression. You don't pack. You don't warn anyone. This isn't a trip. It's a recovery mission for the truth, or what's left of it. The institute sits 30 miles outside the city, hidden behind rusted gates and trees thick with rot. Its architecture looks like someone tried to build a church, a hospital, and a prison all at once, and succeeded in making a tomb. Windows are blacked out, security cameras long dead, but the silence, that's still functional. You enter through a broken side door, flashlight cutting a narrow cone through the dark. The walls are coated in peeling institutional green. Graffiti in Sharpie and bloodless red paint scars the corridors. Some of the phrases repeat, like a litany, shell intact. You are the story. Find your origin. You follow the arrows someone once spray painted onto the floor. They wind like veins, turning corners that don't feel right, angles that don't belong in real architecture. You swear the hallway bees slightly inward, like the building itself is leaning in to watch you. Finally, you reach it. The old patient archive room. The lock has been broken clean, likely forced by someone before you. Inside boxes, files, old tapes, and one screen, powered, flickering, still on, no signal, until you step in front of it. Then the static clears, and your face appears. Not you now. You. Then, hair shorter, different jacket, younger eyes, and a voice over the feed. Subject 19. Memory shell test beginning. Origin program active. You watch as your old self is asked questions. You don't respond like you. You respond like someone else. And the more you listen, the more your stomach knots. Because you're not just watching a test subject. You're watching a script being installed. You tear through the files, looking for anything, everything. You find your name on the participant log, but it's under a code. S19, mirror host. And across the margin in pen-based shell, copied from CP source. Subject shows high compatibility. CP, Callum Price. You weren't just investigating him. You were constructed from him. His emotions, his guilt, his conflict. They made you from what he left behind. And when he vanished, they built the echo. That echo was you. A metallic crash echoes down the hall. You freeze. Someone else is here. You turn off the flashlight. Duck low. Heart slamming. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Measured. A flashlight beam sweeps across the opposite wall. You crawl backward, slipping into an old observation bay with one-way glass. Through it, you see them. A man in a black coat, face hidden beneath the brim of a cap. In his gloved hand, your photo, the altered one, the one where you're missing. He holds it up to the glass, not looking at it, looking at you, like he knows you're behind the mirror. You don't move, barely breathe. He places the photo on the glass. Then, in a voice like broken gravel, it's not the first loop, but it could be the last. He walks away. No rush, no sound, just gone. You stare at the photo he left behind. This time, there's something new scrawled in red ink. To remember is to unravel. To unravel is to end the program. You stagger back from the glass. The truth hits you like a falling ceiling. You are not the person they programmed. You're what's left after the programming begins to fail. A remnant, a fracture, a ghost walking in borrowed memories. And this unraveling, it's the last safeguard they didn't count on. You remembering, you waking up. You pull the glove from your coat one last time. The words feel prophetic now. Don't trust the mirror, because it's never reflected you. Only what they wanted you to be. But now the mirror doesn't hold. Now it cracks. You whisper the only truth left. I wasn't just watching the story. I was the story. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You take the photo and leave the institute without looking back. It isn't that the place feels haunted. It's that you do. With every step toward the car, something inside you dissolves. Not grief, not shock. It's something quieter and far more dangerous. Recognition. There's no road sign for what you are. Not detective, not victim, not even survivor. You're a container, a program, a loop with legs, and the truth you thought you were chasing. It was never yours to find. It was you. You drive without turning the radio on. Silence is the only companion that doesn't lie. Your phone buzzes again. New message. Unknown number. Same format. The mirror cracked. Now go to the source. Marin kept the originals in the lighthouse. You freeze. Of course, the Valamur lighthouse, abandoned years ago after a storm warped the foundation, declared structurally unsafe, closed to the public. But Dr. Alois Maragd had once called it her private processing site, somewhere quiet, isolated, shielded from oversight, where the first subjects were prepped. You grip the wheel tighter. If there are originals, then maybe the truth didn't die in the institute. Maybe it just drifted, waiting for you. The lighthouse stands alone on a cliff, gray against a bruised sky. You park a quarter-mile down the road and hike the last stretch on foot. Grass slaps your legs. The air smells like salt and rust. When you reach the lighthouse door, it's already ajar. Inside, the smell is worse. Mold, dust, and the cold mechanical breath of long-dead equipment powering back on. A light flickers upstairs. You climb. One step creaks. Another doesn't. It's inconsistent like time in this place. At the top, the lens room is gutted except for one table, one chair, and one locked cabinet. You approach. There's something pinned to the table. Your birth certificate. Only it isn't. It lists your name, your date of birth. But under mother, it says data, origin S121, Callum Price prototype, and under father NA synthetic shell. You feel like the wind's been knocked out of your lungs. This wasn't just identity erosion. It was fabrication. Everything, your memories, your hunches, yourself is code built from trauma. You weren't born. You were built to believe you had been. The locked cabinet demands attention now. You find the key, taped to the underside of the table. Classic Marin misdirection. You unlock it. Inside tapes, photographs, printouts of neural scans, and one thing that doesn't fit, a handwritten journal, labeled for subject 19. When the loop breaks, it's addressed to you, written in Marin's unmistakable, precise handwriting. The first page reads, "If you're reading this, then the fracture has begun. You are not malfunctioning. You are remembering. Your consciousness is a blend, a curated echo, emotional data grafted from Callum Price, filtered through trauma, rewritten over your own early substrate. We didn't erase you. We buried you. You were chosen not because you were the strongest, but because you were the most haunted. You close the journal. Tears sting your eyes, but none fall, because nothing in you feels real enough to cry. You look through the photos next. Some are of you, some are of Callum, and in the older ones, you both appear together. Identical expressions, same tilt of the head, same scar under the chin, but the time stamps are decades apart. Callum in 2002, you in 2022. A copy, not just of memory, but of manner, behavior, emotion. They didn't just clone a narrative, they cloned a pattern. and you were the test. You descend the tower staircase, heavier than when you came up. At the base of the stairs, something moves. You freeze. A silhouette stands in the doorway, umbrella folded, rain slicking off a long coat, and then Rhiannon, or someone who looks too much like her. She steps into the pale light, not surprised, not smiling. She speaks like she's finishing a conversation that never ended. You saw the loop, didn't you? Now tell me what they made you forget. You don't answer. You reach into your coat pocket instead. Retrieve the glove. Show her the inscription. Don't trust the mirror. She nods. I wrote that. For you. You stare at her. It doesn't make sense. You've never met. Except now you know that's the lie. You didn't forget her. They hid her. From you. From yourself. Because she wasn't just a witness. She was the original carrier. The one who felt the guilt Callum refused. The one who remembered when memory was poison. She steps closer, reaches out slowly, and places something cold in your hand. A key, with the number 21 etched into its side. You whisper, confused. Another motel room. She smiles, sadly. No, the room where they stored you. Before they let you think you had a life, you knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You hold the key in your hand, as if it might vanish. Room 21. A number carved into a brass relic. Simple, unassuming, but heavy with implication. You ask Rhiannon the question, rising in your throat like bile. Where is it? She tilts her head slightly, the same way she did in the courtroom. That same eerie calm, the knowing look of someone who's been erased before and clawed her way back. North Side District, beneath the old municipal library. Room 21 was never a motel. It was a storage wing, underground. That's where they kept you after each loop failed. Your mind reels. You remember reading about the municipal library fire. It had burned for 7 hours, destroying archives, structural support beams, decades of records. But the basement, that had survived, hidden in plain sight beneath the wreckage. You whisper, they kept me there. Rhiannon nods, quietly. You were reset 13 times. I saw the logs. Each time they rewrote a little more, but something always came back. You grip the key tighter. Then she says something that breaks your bones from the inside out. They couldn't erase the guilt. The city stretches out ahead of you like a corpse dressed for a party. Bright lights, dead eyes. It feels different now. Not a place, a stage. Every window a two-way mirror. Every intersection a choice you didn't make, but were told you had. You drive straight to Northside. The old library looms like a forgotten cathedral. Blackened bricks, boarded windows, rain slicking the steps like oil. You park, keep the engine running for a few seconds longer than necessary. Then kill it and get out. Inside, the main floor is a husk. Charred shelves, scorched rugs. A melted clock hangs sideways on a smoke-stained wall. Its hands both stopped at 2:16, as if even time gave up trying to make sense of this place. But you're not here for the history. You're here for the hole beneath it. You find the service elevator at the back. It groans to life with an animal sound, metal on metal scraping like teeth grinding in sleep. You insert the key into a panel hidden behind the old directory plaque. It fits, and when it turns, the floor beneath you shudders, once, then descends. The basement isn't a room. It's a corridor, long, windowless, lined with steel doors. You count them. 17, 18, 19, 20, and then 21. The door has no handle, just a biometric pad, long since shattered. But the key slips into an override port near the base and clicks the mechanism free. You inhale, turn the knob, and step inside. It isn't what you expected. No padded walls, no shackles, no cold metal cot. Just a room, furnished like a minimalist apartment. A desk, a bed, a lamp with a warm yellow bulb still working, and a mirror on the far wall. You walk forward, hesitant. There are photos on the desk, dozens of them, all of you, in different poses, different outfits, some with Rhiannon, some with people you don't recognize, and beneath each photo, a note, dates, test numbers, reactions logged. Some say things like subject shows denial, subject entering phase confusion, subject resisting mirror cue, and one dated just 2 weeks ago, subject approaching awareness, erasure protocol imminent. You swallow. Your throat tastes like rust. You sit on the bed. Breathe shallow. This room isn't for prisoners. It's for testing recall. The mirror on the wall, a behavioral cue device. When the subject remembers too much, the mirror resets the loop. A phrase flashes in your mind like lightning. Don't trust the mirror. You approach it slowly, carefully. You raise your hand. Your reflection raises its hand too. But it lags just half a second. Not much, but enough. You test it again. Wave your fingers. The delay is there. Not a reflection, a projection. You press your hand to the glass and feel heat. It's not a mirror at all. It's a screen. And then the screen flickers and your own face stares back. But this version of you, it smiles and speaks. You made it. Now, let's see if you're ready to wake up. Static tears across the screen. Then files begin loading across the walls, projected from hidden emitters in the room. Your life, your fabricated memories, your real origin, birthplace unknown, recorded by Marin Protocol, original identity, redacted, compatible, DNA host, Callum Price. Your legs nearly give out. It wasn't a one-way transplant. It was a hybrid graft. Part him, part someone else. You. The room begins to hum. A final message appears, projected across the mirror. To end the loop, subject must choose, retain constructed identity, or recall suppressed origin. Warning, full recall may destabilize emotional core. 2 buttons flash below the message. Retain, recall. And the only thing you're sure of now is that either choice ends everything you thought you were. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Your hand hovers over the buttons. Retain, recall. One preserves the illusion, the comfort of false memories, familiar lies, the fiction you've called a life. The other, it rips everything away. Truth, with no anesthesia. You whisper to the room, to no one. What if the real me is worse? There's no answer, just the low hum of the machine, like a heartbeat waiting to stop. The lamp flickers, casting your silhouette in twitching shadows across the walls. You stare at yourself. The projected image is gone. Now it's just you. Not quite a reflection, not quite real. More like a moment about to fracture. You close your eyes and press recall. It's not immediate. It's slow. First, a scent, salt, then a sound, laughter, then screaming, then static, then silence, then the lake. Not the dream lake, not Callum's memory. Yours, your back, wading through thick black water under a bruised sky. Someone calls your name from the shore. You remember the weight in your arms, the child, the lifeless eyes. Not Callum, not Rhiannon. You. A decision you made, one you buried, and that's when you understand the shape of it all. They didn't erase your past because you were a bystander. They did it because you were central, not just compatible, crucial. The guilt wasn't a side effect, it was the seed. You weren't built to host Callum's trauma. You were chosen because your own was stronger. You collapsed to your knees, back in the room, back in the body, back in the nightmare that is no longer fragmented. The walls display new data now. Vitals spike in cortisol, heart rate erratic, neural mapping unstable. In red letters, subject S19, convergence initiated. The system wants to shut you down. You can feel it. The loop doesn't know what to do with you now that you've stepped outside it, and neither do you. The door creaks. Rhiannon is there again, but this time she doesn't look like the haunted woman from the courthouse. She looks tired, exhausted, almost afraid. You pressed it, she says. You nod. Then it's real, she whispers. She kneels beside you. You weren't supposed to choose. The program was never designed for full recall, just iterations, test loops. You were meant to reinforce the narrative, not dissolve it. You stare at her. Why did you help me? Her answer is immediate. Because I saw you try to save her. You blink. I don't remember that. She touches your arm gently. You will. The machine surges. A power relay snaps overhead. Sparks rain down. Emergency protocols initiate across the wall. Failsafe override. Shell dissolution. 78%. Warning, host may retain externalized memory echoes. Rhiannon grabs your hand. We have to go. You stand. Legs weak. Mind flooded. The truth isn't empowering. It's paralyzing. You remember the child, not a stranger. Your sister. She drowned, and you blamed yourself. You were 12. The trauma cracked you open, and that's when Marin found you. You weren't recruited as an adult. You were taken as a child, and the guilt never left. They just gave it new names. You flee the room as the loop collapses. Lights strobe. Doors slam shut behind you. The elevator's dead, so you take the stairs 2 at a time. Rhiannon right behind you. You emerge from the ruins into the early hours of morning. Rain has stopped. Fog clings to the ground like ghosts not ready to leave. You breathe in air that doesn't smell like data. It smells like something real, like something earned, like grief. Rhiannon stops at the edge of the parking lot. They'll come looking. You nod. Then, I'll be ready. You sure you remember everything? You hesitate. No. And that's the truth. Because some memories aren't meant to return all at once. They bleed in. With time. With silence. With trust. She presses a folded slip of paper into your palm. If the mirror calls again, don't answer alone. She disappears into the fog. You stand beneath a flickering streetlight. The taste of your life still bitter in your mouth. You're not sure what's next, but you know what's real now. You were never guilty of someone else's crime, but you were complicit in forgetting your own. The system let you pretend, and you let it, because forgetting is easier. Control is quieter than truth. But now the silence is broken, and your story is yours again. Whatever's left of it, you knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The sun doesn't rise that morning. It hesitates, stuck somewhere behind the clouds, like the sky itself is reconsidering whether to continue. You walk. No destination, just motion. Every step, a question you don't know how to ask. There's a hum in your skull, faint but insistent, like the machinery that once ran your life hasn't fully powered down. You still see pieces of it. Ghost code in the corners of your vision. Street signs that flicker. Names that shift when you blink. Your brain's unsure what's real now, but you're not. You remember enough to know that. The false life, the overwritten mission, the curated guilt, they're echoes, and you've outlived them. But what comes after echo? What replaces the script when the story is no longer handed to you? Your phone vibrates. No number, just a voice message. You listen, and it's your voice again, but older, calmer. If you're hearing this, the fracture held. There will be people looking for you, people who want you back in the loop. You must resist reconstruction, then silence. No signature, no hint where it was recorded, but something inside you knows that message was left by a version of you that already walked this path. Another iteration, another failed escape. Maybe you're the first to get this far. Maybe not. You check your pockets again. The paper Rhiannon gave you is still there. You unfold it. A name, Emery Shaw, and beneath it, the watcher of the originals. A location, Burnside Cemetery. Midnight. You commit it to memory and burn the note with a motel matchstick. Ash flies like tiny ghosts. You head back to the motel, not because you want to, but because your things are still there. At least the ones they let you believe were yours. Inside room 9, the air feels different, less staged, more dormant. You check your desk drawer. The glove is gone. In its place, a note. Just 4 words, still inside the mirror. You turn slowly, face the mirror. This time, you don't hesitate. You approach and stare. It doesn't show you. It shows her. The girl, your sister. Hair dripping, eyes wide, mouth open as if mid-scream. You stumble back, blink. She's gone. Your own face replaces hers. But that flash was enough to destabilize everything you've pieced back together. What if this isn't over? What if she never left? You dig through the motel trash, something you never thought you'd do voluntarily. Find the burned out tape recorder, melted at the edges, still intact enough to open. Inside, not the original tape, a new one, unmarked. You pop it in, press play, static. Then a voice, not yours, not Rhiannon's, Marin's, calm, icy, clinical. Subject's earliest trauma proved more durable than anticipated. Memory can be overwritten, but never destroyed. All iterations collapse eventually into that first scream. You stop the tape. That first scream. The lake, the girl. It's always led back there. Not just the guilt, but her. You realize what Rhiannon meant now, what she feared. The body didn't just speak, it remained. The cemetery looms at the edge of town like a scar someone keeps reopening. Burnside. Iron gate twisted at one hinge. You wait until just before midnight, then step inside. Fog curls around your feet like warning signs that gave up trying. Gravestones tilt in strange directions, like they're listening. You walk row by row, looking, listening, then a voice. You shouldn't have come. You turn. A man stands near the angel statue at the center of the grounds. Late 50s, gray coat, one eye glassy with an old wound. He doesn't move. You're S19. You nod. Slow. Cautious. I'm Emery Shaw. I kept what they wanted erased. He reaches into his coat and pulls out a small metal case. Inside a USB drive, he holds it toward you. This is the last original. The first loop, unedited, pre-shell. Before you were S19. You take it, trembling. You kept it all this time. He nods. They paid me to erase. I just forgot to. You half laugh. It's broken, hollow. You ask him what's on it. He sighs. Her voice, your voice, the lake, the truth, not the one they gave you, the one you buried. You pocket the drive. Step back. Why give it to me now? Emery stares at you, jaw tight, then says something that chills your spine because she's waking up again, and this time she wants to speak for herself. You glance behind him to the statue, but the shadow beneath it is moving, not breeze, breathing, and then you hear it, a voice, faint, young, drenched in water and grief, calling your name. Don't forget me. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The voice doesn't echo. It sinks deep into your bones, into the marrow of what they once called you. It's not memory, not hallucination. It's presence. You turn sharply. Nothing there. Just fog curling around your ankles like it wants to hold you still. Emery doesn't move. His gaze stays fixed on the statue, as if looking too closely at you might break something important. She never left, he says quietly. You swallow hard. She, who? Your sister. He says it like it's always been true, like it was written into the ground beneath your feet, beneath this whole town, long before you ever stumbled through it. The girl you lost was never a ghost. They didn't let her become one. You asked the question even though you already know the answer. Where is she now? Emery hesitates. Then inside the loop, every time they reset you, she stayed behind, fragmented, repeated, echoed in every glitch, in every scene you thought didn't make sense. She's not haunting you. She's trapped in you. You can't breathe. You back away from him, from the statue, from the cemetery itself. But the fog follows. Your mind spins. All the times the mirrors shimmered wrong, the dreams, the voices on tapes that never matched your mouth. It wasn't you glitching. It was her, knocking, begging, remember me. You clutch the USB drive tighter, like it might burn a hole in your palm. You don't say goodbye to Emery. You just run, because the voice behind you is getting louder, more solid, more real. Back at the motel, you don't even lock the door. You slam the drive into your laptop and let the files spool out like blood. Video first. Grainy footage. A young girl, 10, maybe 11. Hair plastered to her face. Rain pouring down around her. She's sitting on the edge of a dock, crying, and you're there too. Smaller, younger, holding her hand, telling her it wasn't her fault. But the date is after she died. It's footage from inside the loop, from a version of you that remembered enough to bring her back, only to lose her again. The next file is audio, a session log. Your voice, disoriented, calm, then rising in panic. She's in my dreams again. No, not like a memory. She's talking. She knows things I didn't tell anyone. I think she's learning. Through me. Then silence. Then Marin's voice. Cold, efficient. Subject is now mirroring deceased sibling behavioral markers. Recommend suppression sequence and full wipe. Emotional graft unstable. You slam the laptop shut. You sit still, very still, and finally say what you've never said aloud. She didn't disappear. She was erased with me. You go to the mirror, again, but this time you don't wait. You speak first. I remember you. Silence. Then a flicker. The mirror fogs from the inside, and a word appears, drawn by a small hand you can't see. Still here. You whisper. What do you want? No answer. Only another word. Out. You pace. Back and forth. You're losing the boundary between you and her, between memory and now. What if the final truth is that there is no you anymore? That you were never designed to contain her forever? A container cracks. Eventually, you set up the laptop again. Open the last file. One labeled only The Choice. It's a digital trigger Marin designed, meant to run only when all loops failed. It opens a prompt. Retain host shell. Release secondary presence. You stare. It's not a memory anymore. It's a reckoning. You whisper to the empty room. If I let her out, what happens to me? No one answers, but you already know. You won't disappear. You'll dissolve. Become the echo this time. The fragment. The whisper in the next mirror. You think of Rhiannon. Of Emery. Of all the versions of you who never made it this far. And of her, trapped in a machine of your making. A system that used her grief as source code. You were never innocent. But this might be the closest you get. You click, release, and everything inside you changes. The hum dies. The mirrors stop responding. The static vanishes. You exhale, and someone else inhales. The room grows still, then warm, then bright. And for the first time, you hear her voice in the open air. Thank you. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. For a moment, there's nothing but quiet. Not silence. Quiet, the kind that feels sacred, reverent. The breath the world holds just before something impossible becomes real. You stand there in the motor room, heart ticking too loud, too fast, as if your body isn't sure who it belongs to anymore. Then you realize it doesn't. Not entirely. Something has shifted. She's no longer trapped, but she's not gone. She's here, inside you, not echoing, coexisting. You step toward the mirror one last time, and this time, it's not your face staring back, not fully. There's something in the eyes, a softness that wasn't there before, a grief that's lived too many lives to wear a single name. You speak gently. Can you hear me? The reflection nods. Your lips don't move. You're not watching yourself. You're watching her. And then she speaks, low and ragged, like a song you forgot, but always knew. You tried to bury me, again and again. They helped you forget me, but forgetting doesn't end the story. It only delays the pain. You nod, blinking. I didn't know how to carry you. You weren't meant to carry me. You were meant to listen. The words open something in your chest, a wound or a window, you're not sure which. You sink onto the edge of the bed. The mattress creaks like a confession. You take out the USB again. This time, you look through the rest of the files. They aren't logs, they're letters, dozens of them, all written in a child's scrawl, addressed to you, dates spanning years that don't add up. Some are full of apologies, others rage, but all of them carry one repeating line. Please don't let them turn me off again. It wasn't that she died, it's that no one let her go, so she stayed. In circuitry, in loops, in you, a secret too loud to forget, but too dangerous to remember. Your phone rings. Blocked number. You answer without speaking. A voice responds anyway. Calm, mechanical. Marrin, we know what you did. There's no protocol for fusion. This will destabilize you. You say nothing. She continues. We can fix it. Restore baseline? You'll be whole again. You almost laugh, but the anger inside you doesn't. You answer. Your voice sharp, steel-tipped. She is my baseline now. Then you hang up and power the phone down for good. Outside, the fog is breaking. You pack only what matters. The drive, The journal, the glove, the photograph that keeps returning no matter how many times you burn it. Before leaving, you write a note in the motel ledger. Room vacated. Guest departed. Name Callum Price, alias S19. Status no longer looping. You leave the key on the pillow, like a relic from a story that no longer owns you. The road out of town looks the same as it always has. Same broken signposts, same empty gas stations, same field of dead corn leaning like tired men. But the car feels different, lighter, like it no longer carries just guilt. It carries agency. You ask her, quietly, if she's still with you. The reply doesn't come in words, it comes in a sense, a steadying, as if someone unseen is finally breathing beside you, no longer asking to be rescued, just riding along. You don't know where you're headed, but it isn't toward another test facility, not another courtroom, not another grave. You're going somewhere new, somewhere that doesn't carry their fingerprints. And that might be the first choice you've made without someone else's programming. The first choice that belongs to you both. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Miles slide beneath your tires, like memories you've chosen not to stop for. No plan, no GPS, just the whisper of her presence beside you. Steady now, less a ghost, more a gravity. You drive until the lines between hours blur and the world becomes nothing but asphalt, headlights, and the low hum of what might finally be peace. Then the radio crackles. You haven't touched it. You never touch it. It flickers to life on its own. A faint voice, yours but older again, worn like sanded wood. If you're hearing this, you're past the edge, which means they're coming. They'll try to pull you back with logic, with grief, with guilt. Don't let them. You clench the wheel. The signal drops. Silence returns, but the warning clings to the air like static. You stop for gas in a nameless town with a diner shaped like a bullet. Inside, the waitress doesn't blink when you sit down. She pours you coffee like she's done it 1,000 times. Maybe she has. There's something off here. Too quiet, too still. You glance around and realize every person in this diner is watching you. Not directly, through reflections, mirrors behind the counter, the polished chrome of the jukebox, even the napkin holder. All eyes, all angles. You ask yourself, how many loops did they build and how many are still running? You push away your coffee, suddenly bitter in your mouth. Stand up, leave cash on the counter. Outside, your car is gone. Only a glove on the hood of a different vehicle. Yours. You can't be sure. You pick it up. Inside 4 new words, written in red ink. This isn't the road. You drive anyway. Not because you trust it. Because you don't trust stillness more. Because the truth doesn't wait in safe places. The glove stays in your lap. A reminder that even when you think you're free, the design might still be holding the pen. An hour later, a road sign flashes past. Marin Holdings, Behavioral Division, Private Property. Do not enter. You slam the brakes, heart in your throat. You know that name. You lived that name. It was never a company. It was a system, a scaffold built from your grief, your guilt, your sister's scream. You step out of the car, follow the rusted path through the woods, because this is the road, not to freedom, to confrontation. Through trees and thorn and silence, you reach the compound, what's left of it, half collapsed, half rebuilt, still breathing in its own cold way. You approach a side door, the handle's warm. Inside, lights buzz faintly, monitors hum. You're not alone, but no one greets you. Only footage. On every screen, you. Every version. Loop 3 panicked, pacing, shouting. Loop 7 resigned, broken, sedated. Loop 12 violent. You don't recognize your own eyes. And then Loop 14, the last one. You remember that face because that's when you started hearing her. You reach the control room, a single chair, a bank of keyboards, and a screen that blinks. Welcome back. S19, a voice filters through the overhead speaker. Not Marin. Different. Familiar. I thought we lost you after the fracture, but you're resilient. You don't respond. You walk to the console. Every instinct tells you not to touch it. But her voice comes again from inside you. Do it. So you do. One keystroke. Enter. The monitors shift. The system unpacks. A hidden partition opens. Not data. Not code. A recording of the day she drowned. Not your memory. Surveillance. They filmed it, archived it, used it, and at the end of the clip, the true twist, a technician's voice saying, perfect candidate, receptive, trauma index optimal. You scream, not aloud, but something in you breaks soundlessly, and her presence flares, not angry, not afraid, just clear. Now you see. You ask her, what do we do? And she replies with your voice layered beneath hers. We write the ending. You reach for the terminal. Final command line blinking. One word prompt, destroy. Your fingers hover. Then press Y. The screens go black. For the first time in decades, the loop dies. As you walk out of the compound, the world feels lighter, like a knot slowly untying. You don't know what's next, but you do know one thing. You're not alone anymore. You never were. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Dawn breaks differently this time. There's no fanfare, no cinematic glow, just gray light spilling across the trees like a slow confession. You sit on the hood of the borrowed car, if it even is yours, and listen to the world wake up for the first time in a long time. No voices whisper from behind glass. No loop reboots. The quiet isn't artificial. It's earned. She's still with you. Not a weight now. A presence woven through your breath, your heartbeat, your memory. What was taken from you is back, but it comes with consequences. You check your reflection in the side mirror, and for once, you see only yourself. No flicker, no shimmer, no other eyes staring back. But still, you ask her, are you okay? The answer comes not as words, but as a warmth in your chest. Not joy, not peace, something deeper. Acknowledgement. For the first time, you're not lying to yourself. You pull onto the road, not to run, not to hide, to move, to live beyond the frame they built around your story. You head toward the coast. You think of water and freedom, and how the lake once drowned you, but now it can't touch you the same way. You drive until the radio tower fades behind hills, until the trees thin, until the last remnants of Marin's Reach dissolve in your rearview mirror. Then you see the sign, Welcome to Holden Bay. You remember this place, a forgotten vacation town on the edge of nowhere. She liked it here. She drew pictures of the lighthouse. You stop at the shoreline and step out. The ocean breathes before you, and in its rhythm, she stirs. You walk to the lighthouse trail, Boots crunching over gravel, thoughts twisting like sea wind. Halfway up, you find a bench. A plaque reads, "In memory of what was almost lost." You sit, let the salt air sting your eyes. Then you hear her voice again, clear, present. "Thank you for letting me speak." You whisper, "I'm sorry I didn't sooner." You weren't ready. I wasn't either. You close your eyes. The ocean roars like applause for something invisible. The USB drive sits in your coat pocket, not as a weapon now, as a record, proof of what was done, of what survived. You could destroy it, or you could hide it where someone might find it, someone lost like you were. You decide to keep it, not because you need it, but because someone else might. Truth, after all, is contagious, even in fragments. The day wanes. Shadows stretch across the rocks like the past, trying to reach you one last time. But it can't. Not anymore. You build a fire on the sand. Watch the flames reflect in the old mirror you salvaged from the motel. Just to be sure, she's there beside you. You can feel her, whole, no longer asking for permission, no longer bound by memory. She speaks once more. "They made me forget who I was, but you remembered for both of us. That's why I stayed." You nod. No tears now, just the weight of something sacred. You think of everyone lost to the loops. Callum, Rhiannon, versions of you who didn't make it out. You wonder how many voices are still buried in false narratives, how many stories never got told the right way, but not hers, not anymore. You wake at dawn, pack the car, leave the mirror buried in the dunes. You've carried it long enough. A new message is scrawled in the sand beside it. You don't write it, but you know she did. 4 words. It's your turn now. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You take the coastal road north, where cliffs lean into the sea and wind carves ghosts into the trees. The past doesn't trail you anymore, not like a predator. Anyway, more like a distant shadow, always there, but losing its power in the sun. And yet, you feel her stir again, as you pass a sign for Raven Light, another forgotten town with too many windows and too few names. "We've been here," she whispers. You slow the car. The voice doesn't come from the speakers or the rear view mirror. It comes from within, familiar now, almost comforting. You turn off the highway. The town is half empty. Boarded windows, cracked sidewalks, faded, police signs that look permanent. But something tugs at you. You follow it. Instinct, or memory, or her. On Main Street, there's a library, abandoned. By the looks of it, you park, enter. The air smells of dust and forgotten truths. Books sit on sagging shelves, like sentries waiting for readers who never came. You pass through aisles until you reach the back, children's section, and there, in the far corner, a mural, chipped paint, faded from sunlight. A girl standing in a field of reeds beside a lake. She's smiling. You know that face. It's hers. You crouch beneath the mural and see something else. A time capsule, half dug from the floorboards. You pry it out gently. A rusted tin lunchbox. Inside a Polaroid. 2 kids. You and her. A charm bracelet with 3 missing links. A cassette tape labeled before. You sit on the cold tile floor. Slide the cassette into the player you bought at a roadside shop weeks ago, not knowing why. Now you know. You press play. Her voice crackles through. Younger, lighter. "If I ever forget, tell me again. Tell me I was real. Tell me I laughed loud and ran fast and wasn't just sadness. tell me I was more than what happened to me. Silence, then, and if you forget, come back here. This is where we began. You sit there for what feels like hours, until dusk paints the shelves in long red stripes like prison bars. And finally, you cry, not for what was lost, but for what was found. The next day, you find the house. It's barely standing, roof half gone, weeds devouring the porch, but the mailbox still bears the name Price. You walk inside, and she remembers with you. Each room a timestamp. The broken tile in the bathroom she slipped on once. The wallpaper in the hallway where she drew secret messages in invisible ink. The closet where she hid from thunderstorms. You reach your old bedroom. There, nailed above the window, a wind chime. It rings, clear, bright, fragile, like a heartbeat. That night, you don't sleep. You sit on the steps and listen to the chime. The wind doesn't carry voices anymore, because she doesn't need to whisper through static. She's here, in full. Not a glitch, not a symptom, not a test subject. Your sister, your tether, your proof. The town doesn't know you returned. No one does, but she does, and that's enough. You light a small fire in the yard, feed the last photograph into it, watch it curl and vanish. You don't need it anymore. She's not in the pictures. She's in the pause between your heartbeats, in the voice you now recognize as part of your own. Before dawn, you find a journal hidden behind a loose panel in the wall. Her handwriting, older, now loop-aged. Dozens of pages, reflections, questions, hope. On the last page, I don't want revenge. I want release. If you find this, you did it. You close the journal slowly. A breath deepens inside you. Not grief, not closure, but something after both. Freedom. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The next town over doesn't have a name you remember, but she does. This is where they watched us. A quiet murmur behind your ribs, the echo of a memory they never meant to let survive. You roll into town just after dawn, the sky a bruise-colored smear across the horizon. Everything here feels off, too clean, too symmetrical, too still, like a movie set waiting for the director to yell action. You stop at a red light that doesn't turn green. After 5 minutes, you drive through anyway. There are no other cars, only surveillance poles that track your every move with blinking red dots. She's silent now, but you can feel her tightening inside your chest. Something's wrong here, very wrong. You park near what looks like a city records building, but the signage is wrong. It says, Behavioral Review Archives, Sector 9. You stare at it, Sector 9. That was your designation. You weren't just a subject. You were a location, a movable boundary, a test pattern. Your fingers curl into fists as the truth takes shape. She was never an anomaly. They made her one, and they did it through you. Inside the building, everything hums, not like life, like surveillance. Motion detectors sweep the halls, keypads blink, doors buzz faintly behind sealed steel, but no personnel, just machines, waiting. You move slowly. She guides you, left, down the stairs, second door. You trust her now, because she's the one part of you they never fully corrupted, the one presence that outlived every loop. The door opens to a room filled with filing cabinets, blinking monitors, and a single terminal labeled Project Ghost Mirror, and beneath it S19, S19, Alpha, S19 beta. 3 subjects. You enhanced. You erased. You find your own file. Redacted top to bottom. Only one sentence remains clear. Subject retained residual memory fragments from null host potential leak vector. The null host was her. You weren't just carrying her voice. You were constructed from it. She wasn't added. She was the origin. They didn't build her out of you. They built you out of what remained of her. You drop the folder, stumble back. The room tilts. She whispers, "Now you understand." You turn to the terminal. Start typing. You search for null host data tree. It opens like a virus. Thousands of iterations, files, titled, replications, interventions, moral drift responses, and a final hidden branch, emergence. You open it. A video feed appears, live. It's a holding chamber, one you've never seen before, and inside a girl. Not you, not her, but someone between 10 years old, curly hair, bare feet, wearing a hospital bracelet. You read the tag, S19 Delta. You understand immediately. They tried again. A new host, a cleaner loop, no trauma baggage, no resistance, only compliance. But something went wrong, because the girl is staring at the camera, not blankly, defiantly. She raises one hand, waves, then lifts a marker and writes on the glass, "I remember." You back away from the screen. Your mind spirals. They didn't stop when you escaped. They scaled. But this time, the loop cracked faster. She remembers already. You ask aloud, "What do I do?" And your sister answers, "Set her free." You close your eyes, breathe deep, step back to the terminal. One final override code. Release all hosts. You pause your fingers over the enter key. The system fights it, requires biometric override. You press your thumb to the scanner. A moment of red, then green. Files decrypt. Alarms don't sound. No one tries to stop you, because they never thought anyone would get this far. On the monitors, doors open. Locks disengage. The girl steps out into the hallway, blinking, free, just like you, just like her. And for the first time in your life, you feel full, complete, not a shell, not a container, not a loop, a witness, a survivor, a guide. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The girl walks into the daylight like she's done it before, but you know she hasn't. Everything about her posture rigid but alert, cautious but not afraid, says she's already remembering more than she should, more than you ever did that early. You don't call out to her. You wait. And sure enough, she turns toward you without prompting, like she's known you longer than you've existed. You kneel down. "I'm not here to hurt you." She studies your face, tilts her head. "You're the one who let the others go. I saw you in the mirror." Her voice isn't trembling. Yours nearly is. You ask her name. She shrugs. "They call me Delta, but that's not real." You nod slowly. "It's not. None of that is real." You gesture toward the forest behind the compound. "Do you want to leave?" She squints toward the trees. "Will it still follow us?" You pause, because the answer isn't simple. Maybe, but it won't catch us. She smiles faintly, like she knows you're lying, but forgives you for trying to protect her anyway. You take her hand, and together, you walk back to the car. The sun is out now, unashamed, sharp enough to cast real shadows, not the artificial ones they used in the testing chambers. You both wince from the brightness, but neither of you complains. She runs her fingers along the doorframe. "This feels familiar? You nod. It's meant to. Then she looks at you, serious. What was I for? You breathe out through your teeth. The question you asked too late. But she's early. You say, you weren't for anything. You are. That's enough. You drive. Back roads, old roads. She hums softly beside you. A song you don't know. You ask her where she learned it. It came to me. In a room. With water and blinking lights. You tighten your grip on the wheel. She places her hand over yours. I'm okay now. Because you came back. You turned to her. You remembered me. She nods. Not just you. Her. And just like that you understand. Your sister didn't just move into you. She split. Fragmented pieces carried forward. Woven into delta. The way memories survive inside muscle and silence. As the road winds north, she asks questions. Hard ones. Why do they build people like puzzles? Why is grief a test if I'm free? Why do I feel heavy? You don't have answers, but she doesn't want them. She just wants to ask and to be heard. You reach the edge of a wide field. There's a shack in the distance, long abandoned, half collapsed. You remember this place, Loop 14. They used it as a fail-safe kill switch, a buried signal tower meant to wipe rogue iterations remotely. You could burn it, detonate the panel inside, make sure they never trace you again. You tell her to stay in the car. She doesn't. You both walk across the field. A wind picks up. The grass leans with you. Inside the shack, the panel is still active. A single red light blinking, armed ready. You look at her. She looks at you. No fear, just clarity. Do it, she says, for everyone's still stuck. You pull the fuse. The shack falls dark, and so does the network. You drive for hours without speaking. Then she says, "What's my name now?" You smile. Let her choose. She whispers something too soft to hear, but it echoes inside you anyway, like a secret past between mirrors, a truth no longer denied. She is not a subject. She is not a vessel. She is not what they made her to be. She is free, and so are you. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You drive until the map becomes meaningless, until the lines on the road stop mattering, and all that's left is instinct and the kind of silence that only comes after truth. The girl your sister's echo, or maybe just her neck shape has fallen asleep in the passenger seat. Her face is calm, not blank, at peace, and you realize it's the first time you've seen peace on someone who walked out of the system. Not a survivor, not a fugitive, just someone beginning. You stop at a gas station with no name and no camera. It smells like rust and coffee and safety. You let her sleep while you step inside. Buy 2 bottles of water and a disposable camera. The clerk doesn't ask questions, just hands you the receipt with a nod like he knows exactly what this moment means. Outside, you find her awake, waiting, watching the clouds. Do you think they'll come? You hesitate. Then, not anymore. You take the camera out of the bag. She flinches, but you smile and hand it to her. Your turn. She lifts it to her eye, snaps a picture of the open road, then one of you, then one of the sky. You don't ask why. You don't need to. That night, you camp on a cliff overlooking the ocean. The fire is small. The wind is gentle. The stars blink like survivors of some great trauma, still shining despite it all. She asks if she can tell a story. You say yes. She speaks quietly, slowly, not like a child, not like a loop. There once was a girl who remembered things before they happened. People thought she was broken, but really, she was just early. You let her finish. Then say, "Was that story about you?" She shrugs. "I don't know. Maybe it was about all of us." You fall asleep under the open sky. No alarms, no cameras, no glass ceilings, just the wind, the stars, her breath steady beside you. And when you dream of voices no longer asking to be heard, because now they are. You wake before dawn. She's watching the sunrise. It's not scary anymore, she says. You agree. Neither of you looks back, because there's nothing left behind worth chasing. Not after what was stolen, not after what you reclaimed. You drive north again, somewhere colder, somewhere real, somewhere yours. Final fade out, psychological wind down, 300 words. There are stories that end, and there are stories that unravel. This was one of the latter, because some truths don't land like verdicts, they drift in like fog. They stain the air, the breath, the mirror. You didn't just find her, you remembered her. You let her back in. You made space, and in doing so, you made something new. They'll never find you now, because the system was built to track patterns, not possibilities. It could never understand what it means to choose your own narrative, to walk out of the loop unlooped, to carry someone with you, not as a ghost, but as family. Not everyone got out. Some echoes stay behind, and some shadows still follow. But the world ahead is unwritten, and that is the greatest kind of danger. And freedom. You can still hear her sometimes, in the wind, in the rearview mirror, in the silence between your heartbeats. She doesn't ask for your protection anymore, only your promise that when the next voice whispers from the dark, you listen. End of script. Sleep well and watch your back.